I am Norzi Patwanche and this is Nightline, the top stories. 16 secret society members nabbed over kidnapping of a local businessman. And Datuk Sri Najib gets discharge not amounting to acquittal on 3 money laundering charges. Johor Police have nabbed 16 secret society members, including one of its leaders, over the recent kidnapping of a local businessman in Gelang Patah. State Police Chief Datuk Muhammad Khalil Kadir Mohamad said all the suspects, including 3 women aged between 21 and 59, were nabbed around Johor Bahru as soon as the victim was released after a ransom of over 1 million ringgit was paid late last month.
Daripada 16 orang suspek ini, kita dapati 5 daripada suspek tersebut adalah ahli kumpulan kongsi gelap Gi Tiong Seng dan Ah Ho yang Ang Ho. Okay. Jadi kumpulan ini kita dapati telah bergiat aktif sejak tahun 2010.
In the January 27 incident, the businessman was jogging with a friend before 2 masked men armed with pistols approached them and took the victim away in a Honda City car with a fake registration number. Investigations by a special investigation team revealed that the suspects had demanded a 1.8 million ringgit ransom for the release of the victim. The ransom money was fully recovered following the arrests. Police believe that unpaid debt was the motive behind the kidnapping. All the suspects were remanded to assist investigation under the Kidnapping Act and Firearms Heavier Penalties Act. The case of children neglecting their aging parents will need to be approached holistically before Malaysia decides on a new legislation that protects the rights and welfare of the elderly. Previously, Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail had revealed that Malaysia would pass a new law by 2020 to penalise children who abuse, abandon or neglect their aging parents. And the Deputy Prime Minister on Thursday said a diagnostic study will be conducted to see if there is a need to legislate a new law to complement the National Plan of Action for Older Persons under the National Policy for Older Persons in an effort to protect the country's family institutions. Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Azizah said the study was necessary as many children neglected their parents due to their work, apart from being under pressure from their own economic well-being and lives.
Kalau you buat satu macam menghukum namun tidak menyelesaikan masalah pun salah juga untuk memberikan kita banyak bebanan kepada penjara-penjara. Jadi kita akan membuat satu studi dinamakan kajian diagnostik bagi membentuk model penjagaan warga emas jangka masa panjang yang bersepadu dan mampan di Malaysia. Jadi kita akan buatkan satu undang-undang khusus bagi itu.
She was met at the opening ceremony of Tas Putra, a daycare centre for children with special needs in Putrajaya. She said voluntary welfare organisations are seen as a potent force that could mobilise efforts to improve social well-being in society, and smart partnerships with such organisations are one of the most effective methods of implementation. Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Azizah also said further discussions on relevant aspects with the main stakeholders will be organised by the Women, Family and Community Development Ministry with focus on the new act to be legislated. The stakeholders include representatives from different groups involving senior citizens, families, community members, academics, the ministry and other relevant government agencies. Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Azizah said this when asked to comment on a statement by Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, P. Wetamurthy, who had urged for the initially proposed act to penalise children who abandon their aging parents to be studied first before being implemented. A stake in New York's Park Lane Hotel has been sold to an Abu Dhabi sovereign wealth fund, Mubadala Investment Company, as part of the US Justice Department's efforts to recover billions of dollars that flowed through scandal-plagued One Malaysia Development Berhad or 1MDB investment fund. According to a spokesman for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles, Tom Rozek, roughly $140 million or 572 million ringgit for the interest in the hotel, which sits on Central Park South between 5th and 6th Avenues near Manhattan's Billionaire's Row, was transferred to the U.S. government around December 10, 2018. According to a document seen by Bloomberg News, Mubadala, the Witkoff Group and partners hired the Newmark Knight Frank debt team led by Dustin Stolley and Jordan Roschlaub to refinance the 631-room hotel, with the group seeking a $600 million floating rate loan. Mubadala and Witkoff's partners in the Park Lane Hotel are hotel manager, Highgate Hotels LP and New Valley, a unit of Vector Group Limited. The document said proceeds will be used to pay down the existing loan, as well as for additional air rights and renovations. The value of the land is estimated to be more than $1 billion, and the hotel itself represents the last commercial tear-down opportunity abutting Central Park South. The Park Lane Hotel was developed in 1967 by the late billionaire Harry Helmsley and owned by a Helmsley family trust until its purchase by Witkoff and entities affiliated with Lowe in 2013 for about $654 million. The sale was made possible in November after Lowe Take Joe, known as Joe Lowe, agreed to drop his claims to the property in a U.S. forfeiture lawsuit. The Justice Department agreed that dropping the claims is no admission of wrongdoing or liability, according to a statement at the time. Prosecutors charged Lowe with conspiracy and money laundering last year in connection with the looting of 1MDB. The Kuala Lumpur High Court on Thursday granted former Prime Minister Datuk Seri Mohammad Najib Tun Razak a discharge not amounting to an acquittal over 3 money laundering charges. Justice Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali made the order after allowing Attorney General Tommy Thomas's application. On January 28th, Datuk Seri Najib was slapped with the 3 additional charges under the Anti-Money Laundering and Anti-Terrorism Financing Act. In his submission, the Attorney General said there was an argument on whether there should be a joinder with the other charges. As such, Datuk Seri Najib would be charged over the 3 counts of money laundering before the Sessions Court on a later date. Meanwhile, Justice Nazlan allowed the Attorney General to withdraw his certificate to transfer Datuk Seri Najib's 7 charges in relation to SRC International. The charges filed in July and August last year are 3 counts of misconduct, 1 count of abusing his position over SRC International Sdn Bhart's fund of 42 million ringgit and 3 counts of money laundering. The judge said the 7 charges will be transferred from the Sessions Court to the High Court to expedite the ends of justice. Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Najib has filed an application to set aside the High Court's decision allowing the prosecution to withdraw the certificate to transfer corruption charges against him in regards to SRC International Sdn Bhart dealings. The former Prime Minister's lead counsel, Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi'i Abdullah, said the defence would also file an application at the Court of Appeal to postpone the trial of the case, which was set for February 12. He said the withdrawal of certificate to transfer his client's criminal breach of trust and power abuse charges would affect the entire proceedings and can be deemed illegal. Authorities will be calling 4 individuals, including past members, as they begin their probe into claims that the party had received 90 million ringgit of the 1MDB funds. MACC Deputy Chief Commissioner of Operations, Datuk Seri Azam Baki, said the 4 had already been contacted by his officers for their statements to be recorded. The MACC launched a probe after a police report was lodged by an individual at the Kajang District Police Station on Tuesday. The probe is being conducted in accordance with the MACC Act 2009 and the Anti-Money Laundering, Anti-Terrorism Financing and Proceeds of Unlawful Activities Act 2001. Past President Datuk Seri Abdul Hadi Awang last week had opted for an out-of-court settlement with Sarawak Report editor Claire Rewcastle Brown, whom he had sued for libel over an article she published on August 6, 2016, alleging that the party received 90 million ringgit in bribes from UMNO. PAS's Secretary-General Datuk Taqiyuddin Hassan on Thursday reiterated calls made by its other party leaders in welcoming the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission or MACC to investigate allegations that it had received a total of 90 million ringgit from UMNO, which is suspected to be from the 1MDB State Investment Fund. Datuk Taqiyuddin also assured that all documents would be handed over to the anti-graft body if required. In a media statement, Datuk Taqiyuddin assured that PAS is ready to hand over all the necessary documents, including its bank statements, to prove that the allegation is false and purely slander. He welcomed those with information and had accused the party of such act to come forward so that further investigations can be done. Datuk Taqiyuddin added that he is confident that the MACC would carry out its duty in a responsible and professional manner with transparency and dignity, as well as act without fear nor favour. The MACC on Wednesday confirmed that it had launched an investigation into the 90 million ringgit claim after a police report was made. Meanwhile, the government is urged to hasten the process of completing the political funding bill, which is already in its final stage at the moment. Political analyst Professor Muhammad Azizuddin Muhammad Sani said this following serious allegation against PAS involving the unethical buying of support and financial aid from other parties at significant value.
Kes ini perlukan kebijaksanaan pihak berkuasa khususnya SPRM dan polis untuk menangani dan menyiasat sekiranya tuduhan yang dibawa itu benar-benar berlaku dan dalam masa sama saya rasa parti PAS juga perlu berterus terang kepada kepimpinan dan juga keseluruhan ahli-ahli dan penyokong berkenaan isu ini supaya semua pihak faham dan boleh menilainya dengan bijaksana. Jadi dalam masa ini juga saya rasakan inilah masa yang terbaik satu akta berkaitan dengan pembiayaan politik perlu diperkenalkan kerana jelas bahawa terdapat banyak isu-isu yang berkaitan dengan perjalanan dana dan keraguan dari segi dana yang berlegar dalam konteks politik di Malaysia. Jadi saya rasa masa yang terbaiklah kali ini iaitu pihak kerajaan untuk perkenalkan akta pembiayaan politik yang akan memandu atau meregulasi pemberian dana politik pada PRU yang akan datang.
Malaysia, with a score of 95 out of 100, was ranked first in the Best Healthcare in the World category of the 2019 International Living Annual Global Retirement Index. According to the International Living website, among top 6 countries that obtained the best ratings in the category of Best Healthcare in the World for this year, Malaysia ranked first with its world-class healthcare services and sophisticated infrastructure. The International Living website said with 13 hospitals in the country accredited by Joint Commission International or JCI, where almost all doctors, majority of whom were trained in the United Kingdom, the United States or Australia, were fluent in English, thus communication was flawless. It added that there are both private and public hospitals for expatriates to choose from to suit one's needs, though the private hospitals tend to be a bit more expensive but are more up to Western standards than the public hospitals, adding that even at the private hospitals, the treatment was affordable for minor visits. The index also said that one does not need to make an appointment to see a specialist. It said the process is as simple as registering at a hospital of the patient's choice and waiting in line to see the specialist of choice. The 2019 International Living Annual Global Retirement Index stressed that pharmacists, similar to the rest of medical staff in Malaysia, are well trained and informed, and all Malaysians are friendly people. Malaysia has urged the Philippines government to take stern action on an individual known as Eli Pamatong following her act of publicly burning the Malaysian flag. Wisma Putra, in a statement on Thursday, stated that action must be taken to ensure that such incidents do not recur, seeing that it could potentially tarnish the excellent bilateral relations the two countries currently enjoy. It said the flag is a sacred national symbol and should be treated with respect. Wisma Putra also stressed that such actions and anti-Malaysia comments made by the individual were offensive and the accusations made were baseless. Eli Pamatong is a self-proclaimed founder of the United States Allied Freedom Fighters of the East.
Catch the auto segment every Friday on Nightline! Woo!
Welcome back. A family outing turned tragic when 3 family members were drowned at Sungai Pedu, Kampung Bukit Sena in Kuala Nerang, Kedah on Thursday. The remains of 65-year-old Muhammad Ramli Ibrahim and his 2 granddaughters, Nur Safia Hafiza Samsudin, 16, and Nur Sariza Hafiza, 14, were found around 5:30 p.m. In the 1 p.m. incident, Ramli, his 2 granddaughters and a girl were swept by the strong current while swimming at the river near the Sungai Pedu water pump station. The swift action of the villagers and firemen led to the rescue of the 16-year-old girl. After scouring the river, the rescuers recovered the body of Ramli and his 2 granddaughters. Their remains were sent to the Kuala Nerang Hospital for post-mortem. Meanwhile, in Johor, the body of an 8-year-old girl who was reported missing at Tanjung Balau Beach in Desaru on Wednesday had been found. The remains of Nurul Ain Sajali were discovered floating some 120 meters from where she was last seen. Her remains were spotted by the public, who alerted the authorities at around 4:15 p.m. on Thursday. The Sekolah Kebangsaan Masai student went to the beach for a picnic with her family and reportedly went missing at around 3 p.m. Her remains were sent to the Kota Tinggi Hospital for post-mortem. In Johor, a family of 4 were killed when the car they were travelling in collided with a lorry whose driver had lost control of his vehicle and veered into their lane. The accident took place at about 12:33 past midnight at kilometre 55 of Jalan Kluang, Kota Tinggi. The victims have been identified as 34-year-old Muhammad Firdaus Januri, his wife Nurlia Osman, 33, and their 2 children, Muhammad Adli, 6, and Nur Dalili, 4. The remains of the 4 family members were sent to the Kota Tinggi Hospital for post-mortem and were later laid to rest in one grave at the Kampung Bentung Muslim Cemetery in Kluang after Zohor prayers on Thursday. In Selangor, 1 person was killed while 10 others were injured when an express bus collided with a trailer lorry at the North-South Expressway near Kuala Kubu Baru on Thursday. The express bus carrying 30 passengers was en route from Kedah to Shah Alam, Selangor when the accident occurred at 4:43 a.m. Police have arrested the tanker driver for investigation under the Road Transport Act for reckless driving. Whereas in Terengganu, a clothing trader has been jailed for 26 months by the Kuala Terengganu Magistrates Court for abusing and uttering death threats on his wife. The accused, Muhammad Sharil Mat Ros, 38, pleaded guilty when both charges were read out to him before Magistrate Abdul Hayy Salim. It is understood that the couple had apparently gotten into a heated argument after the victim had asked the accused to send their child to school. Meanwhile, in Putrajaya, the body of a newborn was found in the dumpster at an apartment building in Precinct 18 on Thursday. According to the police, the remains of a baby girl with her umbilical cord intact were discovered by garbage collectors. The body was sent to the Putrajaya Hospital for post-mortem, and the case is being investigated under Section 318 of the Penal Code for concealing birth and secretly disposing of it.
Every Friday on Nightline! Woo! Wow!
onto the foreign front. In the United Kingdom, a body seen in the wreckage of the plane carrying Premier League footballer Emiliano Sala and pilot David Ibbotson has been successfully recovered. However, the identity of the body is yet to be revealed. According to the Air Accidents Investigation Branch, AAIB, the operation has now been ceased and the body was taken to Portland Port to be passed over to the Dorset coroner for identification. It said the recovery operation was successfully carried out in as dignified a way as possible by using remotely operated vehicles, ROV, but attempts to pull up the plane wreckage were unsuccessful due to poor weather. The recovery took place 3 days after the aircraft was found on the seabed in Guernsey, more than 2 weeks after its disappearance on January 21st. In the Netherlands, police have shot dead a man during a reported gunfight outside the country's central bank in Amsterdam. The incident also left a bystander injured. According to the police, the man was shot after approaching with a firearm behind the Netherlandsche Bank at around 7:15 p.m. on Wednesday. The man died of his injuries at the scene despite efforts by the medical team to treat him. Witnesses said they heard around 20 shots being fired before seeing the man motionless on the ground. Police said the incident is not terrorism related. And over in Brazil, at least 5 people were killed in Rio de Janeiro on Wednesday after heavy rains and strong winds pummeled the capital city. According to local media, all the victims were killed by landslides caused by the downpour, which started at about 10 p.m. local time. Some of Rio's most iconic neighborhoods, including tourist hotspots like Ipanema and Copacabana, were also battered by winds of up to 110 kilometers per hour. Meteorologists have predicted more rain in Rio until the end of the week. Emergency officials have recommended residents to stay inside their homes whilst the wet weather passes. Action from the El Clasico. Stay tuned. In sports football, the Spanish Copa del Rey, Real Madrid will be going into the second leg with an away goal advantage after a 1-1 draw with Barcelona, the first leg of their semi-final clash. The Los Merengues stunned the Catalans with an early goal when Lucas Vazquez struck the opener on the 6th minute for the 1-0 lead. Brazilian winger Malcolm, however, cancelled out the opener in the second half as he curled home in the 58th minute to pull Barcelona level. Lionel Messi then came off the bench with 30 minutes remaining but could not inspire the Blaugrana to a victory as it ended 1-1. Both teams will face each other again on February 27th in the return leg at the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium in Madrid. And that sports item wraps up Nightline this time around. We leave you with the visuals of the world's biggest classic car show, featuring a vintage Alfa Romeo, along with a racing car that was made entirely from Lego. With that, I'm Norzi Patwanche, and thank you for your company.